Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
So we're going to look at how we can do some massage and range of movement exercises to help with the freezing in the shoulders that happens with the muscle wastage of motor neurone disease. Chris gets a lot of tightening in this area of his shoulders, which prevents him from being able to lift his arms up normally like most people would do. Now, I don't have any training as a physiotherapist. What's happened is we've been doing some work on him and some massage, and together we're working out what he can take and what actually gives him help and relief. And so we're just sharing this video to try and help any carers who aren't sure what to do. And the first thing I would say is that your PALS has to really give you a lot of feedback so that you know what's giving relief, what's too hard, what areas are the most tender, and that's going to give you the most information because everybody's different, and so we all have to go with how our person is doing, and everything's going to keep changing, so we have to keep adjusting. So I've just been rubbing a bit of massage oil in, and what I know is that Chris gets the most problems here, so I just do gentle stroking with my fingers in that area, and I can always feel lots of knotty little stringy muscles in there, and that's where he gets the most pain. And one of the things he does is he tends to give little moany noises that tell me that that's an area that it's feeling good for me to work on. And when I hear that, I keep working on that area. I don't get any harder, but I just keep working on that area for a few minutes because I know that that's giving him that relief. So what we're really trying to do is just give a bit of relaxing to the muscles. And it's hard to explain how much pressure to put on, but again, I tend to go by, I try to watch his face and I try to just go with what I'm feeling, and if he seems happy, then I tend to stay at the same pressure, but sometimes a bit later on in the massage I will add a little bit more pressure if he seems to be taking it. So I pretty much try to just loosen up and relax the whole shoulder area. We're doing this in the daytime, but at night time when it's a bit colder I often sit a heat pack on his other shoulder to get it well warmed up, because actually we're starting on Chris's right arm, which is his good arm. And so I usually tend to try and warm that left arm up a bit so that it's not as painful for him, and the warmth gives a certain amount of relaxing. One thing you'll find too is that as you massage, the fasciculations might increase, and I don't let myself worry about that. I used to worry about that a bit at the beginning, but I found that the fasciculations increase, but he gets such relief from this process that I've stopped worrying about that. I find there are certain parts on his arms that are quite knotty, and so I try to just do gentle stroking on those knotty areas. tend to keep coming back to this point that's the tightest and working on it for a few strokes in between, moving around and working on the whole of the shoulder. The more you do it, the more you'll find you'll get used to how those muscles feel, and it gets a bit less scary as you get used to doing it and you see some relief for the person for it all.
Mm.
Now, a lot of the videos that we've watched online talk about doing all of this with the person laying on their back, but we actually have had to modify everything for Chris because with his bulbous symptoms, his palate hangs very low in the back of his throat, and if he lays flat on his back, his palate closes off and he's not able to breathe. So we can't do massage or range of movement in those positions. So when we get to the range of movement, I'll be able to show how I give his arms as much support as possible to cope with the fact that we have to do everything sitting upright. Now, because he's sitting up, to work on his lower arm, I tend to just sit on the floor because I find that that's easier for my body. So it's going to be a little bit hard to see all of this on the video. If we bring his hand up, we've got a lot of muscle wastage in here, and we've also got fingers that don't want to stay in a straight position, so I'm going to do some stretching of the hand and gentle massage of the fingers. So I've put a little bit of oil on his hands, and what I find is that he gets pain in the palm of his hands, so I'm rubbing with my fingers through the palms of his hands, and then I work on one finger at a time and just give a bit of movement. Don't be afraid to give gentle rubbing in wherever muscles have wasted away, because they tend to actually find that quite soothing. And now I'm rubbing underneath his fingers. It's hard to see it well on the video. And I tend to just stroke down towards the fingertips on each finger, trying to stretch them out into a flat position without pushing too hard. Some days his fingers are much sorer than others, so you have to just kind of judge it by how the person is and how they're responding to what's happening. I like to try and flatten his hand out. And then work on the lower arm down towards that hand. Quite often as you rub certain muscles, you'll feel jerking and fasciculations in parts of the hand. Again, I've learnt not to worry about that because of the way I find he gets relief after a massage is over. No right or wrongs on how long you spend on this either. We do spend different amounts of time. What we find is that some days we're just busy, and I'm a bit tired. And so if I give a short massage and a bit of movement, he still gets a lot of benefit from it. Other days we've got more time and I might be feeling pretty good, and so we'll do a longer session. What we found is that even a short session produces quite a lot of relief, and so I'm happy to hop in and just spend 15 minutes on both arms, massage and ROM, to give him some relief rather than do nothing.